Good morning. How's everybody doing? I am flying to Malta today, so I am just feeling so excited. Had an incredible weekend, looking at the venues, going to Aberfeldy, and seeing around the beautiful town there, aspiring to be the healthiest town in Britain, which is so cool because it's been led by the medical centre. So I just think it's so nice to hear people saying good things about their communities. Like what's strong in the community rather than what's wrong in the community. So it's a much nicer way to frame things, and also to start taking us in the direction that we want to go instead of keeping us stuck in the old stories. So yeah, it's June. It's the 2nd of June. Sorry, I couldn't come on yesterday because I was all over the place. I was up in Nairn, so I was meeting people in Nairn and having a look around. And obviously, we've got the big excitement. Let me just put this on silent. The big excitement of the world record, and I think we're going to do it if dates work out for Anya. We're going to do it in Nairn. So looking for a place for that. The hall is right beside the river that just goes right into the sea. Morning, Gail. It's just, the venues are absolutely perfect. So I really, really hope you can come along to all of them, or at least one. And if you can really help me by sharing the information. So the programmes aren't quite finished yet. We're still adding people in. It's always a wee bit trickier when you don't know the area and don't know the people. You have to really, it's just a wee bit more work. I mean, the ones that have been kind of presenting at the festival for the last 2 years know exactly what's going on, but we're kind of introducing Heal Scotland and Scotland's Wild Medicine to people that don't really understand how we work. So yeah, bear with us. But we've got a phenomenal deal on Aberfeldy and Nairn because they're completely new, where you buy it one ticket, get one free, so it's £75 it works out at each, which is a phenomenal deal. You're not going to know the accommodation isn't included. People still ask that, even although the price is so fair and so accessible for most people. And again, if you would love to come and you don't have the funds, you just message me telling me how much you can afford and we get you there. It's all about absolute desire to participate in your own healing, health and happiness experience. So juicing is our June challenge. Everybody that knows me knows I'm a huge fan of juicing. When I did my nutritional healing course, it was very much about using like 2.5 litres of juice a day to help flush out toxicity, and particularly with the Gerson therapy for cancer, for reversing stage 4 cancer, which you're not allowed to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. So we're not allowed to say, because of the 1938 Cancer Act, you're not allowed to say that you can cure cancer. Even if you can, you're not allowed to say it. I'm not saying I can, but what we can do is we can get the information out to all the people who have already done it, what they've done. Kelly Turner's book, Radical Remission, powerful book around that. And again, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I did 5 months on the Gerson therapy. Didn't have cancer, just wanted to try and see if I had to, would I be able to adhere to the very strict and time-consuming protocols. It's great to see, though, that we've moved on. There's so many other things, and I'm talking to some people right now who are dealing with not taking the conventional treatments, but also not being diagnosed stage 4 and what they're doing with it. So, as you know, it's a subject that I'm very, very passionate about, but also the other thing I'm passionate about is prevention. What can we do to never get to that place of falling over the edge of the cliff where it can appear to be more challenging? And obviously my latest kind of studying and experiences is about heart coherence, and what we're doing with the breath work and letting go is really very humbling and spectacular to see in the testimonies we're getting. I don't like sharing testimonies really, unless they're happy ones, because I just think it's so personal, but I know that people love them. And I don't like putting people's names to it, because not everybody wants that known. But, this weekend alone, I was sitting in the Costa Coffee with my wee grandson. He was having some watermelon. I was having a peppermint tea before people start writing and tell me why I shouldn't be in Costa. They're very friendly in there. It's handy when I'm going down with my wee grandson. Anyway, I ended up talking to this guy who had lymphoma, and his friend had died of cancer, and his sister's wee boy's very badly autistic. And I was just sitting there thinking, oh my God, what can you do to help these people to make it easier? This is why we have to address these situations in communities. And I know there's tons of great stuff going on, but there's also still a lot of the stuff that we do that people don't know about and don't understand. And then yesterday when I was walking in the park in Nairn with John and the girls, I met this woman who literally within the first 10 seconds told me she'd lost her son to suicide 5 years ago. And again, I was just like, people are talking about these things now, which is great, because that's a really key factor in starting the healing process and not being ashamed to talk about it and how you're feeling about it and how was he feeling about it, and because it is a really serious issue. Men's place, especially white men, the narrative they've been given us around the story is just, it's not good and it's not fair. So we need to be addressing these scenarios. But anyway, juicing can help. You know that I'm a big fan of nutrition, clearly. But I'm also really aware that a lot of the stuff that's getting promoted right now is kind of out with most people's reach at this moment in time. So instead of thinking, I should be doing all these things, just actually start thinking about your own nervous system and your coherence. And that's just one thing you have to think about. I'm not saying that's easy, but it's certainly easier to just focus on one thing rather than to try and add in another 100 things when you're already busy and possibly tired. So the juicing, and let me just go over, I know that a lot of you are absolutely familiar with it, but there's a difference between a juice and a smoothie. And the big issue with smoothies is it's usually a ton of fruit, a ton of fruit sugar. Delicious, don't get me wrong, love them. But they're not going to serve the same purpose as a fresh juice. So the difference is you put your fruit and veg through the juicer and you extract all the pulp and the fibre and you get left with water. Absolutely loaded with enzymes. And what this does compared to a smoothie, which is a different purpose completely, but let's talk about juicing, because people still get confused around that. So the actual juice has got tons of live enzymes, and what does that do? It causes the energy within the cells, right? And it starts the detoxing process. So when you put a lot of juice in, and of course there's different qualities of juice and different varieties of juice depending on what you want to achieve. If you had cancer, you want as many green things in as possible. But carrots are a superfood. And actually organic carrots are pretty easy to get. And if you can't get organic, don't give up. Soak them in apple cider vinegar or bicarbonate soda. I usually just, when I'm doing it in a group, I just pile everything into the big sinks at Barmoloch and I just leave them steeping there for a couple of hours. Does that get everything off? Probably not. Who really knows? But again, you start getting bogged down in the details, you end up doing nothing. And, if the woman that, what's her name now, that she talked about how she healed using non-organic fruit and veg. Because if that's all you've got, you have to work with what you've got and what you can afford. Simple as that. And don't allow all the naysayers saying, that'll stop you in your tracks. Not sure what one is good for. I currently use a sieve after. Yeah, that actually works, Gail. You can get, this is another thing that you used to be able to get a juicer in, I don't know, Aldi or Lidl for 20 quid. And of course, it doesn't last. That's the main thing. But it does extract the juice. And working with the 20 quid one and being a bit gentle with it and not putting in too big chunks, you're going to get a result. You're going to get a better result than if you don't do it. If you've got the money and you can buy the all singing and dancing juicer, fill your boots I used to always just use the centrifugal one because it's easy to clean. You can chuck things in much bigger pieces. And Hilary and I used to do a demonstration. She would do it with her state of the art slow juicer. I could have my juice made, washed, and the juicer put away in the time that it would take her to do the slow juicing. So, how much time have you got? This is always what happens, and people pile in with their opinions and their very experienced points of views that actually stop you from doing things. So, if your budget says, well, let me get this £20 one, and then also to see if you're actually going to do it, because what can happen is it's a fad and then you put it away. A lot of people don't like their devices out on top of their kitchen units. I never put these things away. The things that I use, your NutriBullet, your juicer, my water distiller, never put them away, because what happens is you forget about them. Maybe you don't have the space, that's different. But if you have the space, leave them out, and then you're much more likely to do it. So you don't need to go into a full-blown 2.5 litres a day like I did with the coffee enemas. And the coffee enemas are to, you imagine you're pouring the juice in to wash all the cells, and you're putting the coffee in to help the liver get rid of all the toxicity. And with the Gerson therapy, you're looking to do that for about 2 years. Now, Kathy Grout, my friend Kathy, who lives in Helensburgh, she healed her lymphoma in 9 months she didn't use Gerson, she used Bruce, but it's a similar thing. Ton of juice, flush, 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 flush. And understand you're just washing the body internally so that the tumours can be dissolved, etc. And you may need some specialised help with that, because if you're incredibly toxic, incredibly stressed, the detox process can be carnage if it's not managed properly. So it's a bit like, going out and doing really intensive exercise when you've got a heart condition and you've never done intensive exercise before. Be sensible about it. Personally, I'm a great believer in you can do it yourself, because I know that you can. But if you don't have the understanding and the knowledge, then get help if you can afford it. And this is what we're going to do in our membership area, is we're going to have all this information, like a brilliant library for dummies on how to heal yourself, and how we can get the people that have already done it with, again, very much like addiction recovery, that people can support people, and it can be done for free or close to free, or some kind of energy exchange, so that you're not staying sick because you're poor or because you've got other bills to pay. So that has to be changed. I think that's fairly obvious. And, regardless of your income bracket and your handbag and your watch, or however way you're judging people, your postcode, healing's got nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing to do with it. Healing is to do with this, your desire and your intuition to go, yeah, I can do this. Does it have to be complicated? No. But we've made breathing complicated, we've made food complicated, we've even made water. I'm laughing at myself buying a wee bottle of water for £1.20. I'm like, what is going on in our community? Because I'm not organised, right? And I don't care about that either. I do what I can do, and then I think, do you know what? I'm giving that shop £1.20 for half a pint of water. So we need to lighten up about all these about shoulding in ourselves. You should do this and you should do that and you shouldn't do this. You cannot allow yourself to be contracted by other people's points of view, because that's all that they are. And you may have noticed points of view change. So the best thing you can do is really tune into your heart, your body, your intuition. Juicing might not be right for you right now. The NutriBullet can be great, where you can put a carrot in, an orange, chunk of ginger, chunk of turmeric, blast that up, put some nuts and seeds in it. Fantastic. Because I've been on keto, which really I was just going to do a week in keto, but I'm kind of enjoying it actually, because I really see the difference in my body. It's so fascinating. I love trying these things out in my own body. And it's how the muscle comes up and how the fat shrinks. And when you're, again, my age, my carbohydrate tolerance is way, way, way less than it used to be. So it's really good. I quite like to rein it in and change things up. And again, when you're traveling, it's just much, much easier than what Kathy did was she took her juicer and all her stuff with her everywhere. And that's really, if you're trying to deal with something straight on, you have to be disciplined and you have to be organized. But my keto juice is going to be linseed, chia seeds, coconut milk. This is not a juice, this is a smoothie. And just batter that up. And you can put some water in it as well if it's too thick. I just fling things in, so don't ask me for recipes. Google, please use Google and do your own research. I'll put some links up for people that are looking to seriously prevent. For me, I don't focus so much on the toxicity. I focus more on the energy. If I'm starting to feel tired and lethargic and low, then I'm like, oh, switch up your diet. Get the energy up. Get the hydrogen peroxide in. I use hydrogen peroxide for fungus, for low-level infections. I've had sinus issues. It's cleared up now, but when you're well, you can't imagine not being well, and boom, something comes in like that. You pick up whatever it was. I don't know whether it was hay fever, whether I got something from somebody else. Doesn't matter. Absolutely not. It's the same. It's always the same solution. Clean up your act. And I think with the best will in the world, there are some people that go out and into their garden and get all their foods. That is not the normal situation for most of us. We are working with what we have and we're just grateful for what we have. So my go-to juice, carrots, green apples have a lower glycemic load. So if you want to keep the sugars down, then one apple, a bag of carrots or a bag and a half, I love ginger and I love turmeric, so chunks of that in. It's about your taste as well. You want to enjoy it. And what's the other thing that I put in? A lemon or a lime, or you can put 2 lemons or limes in, depending on your taste. Now, when Xander and I had the gym, we used to use, my friend Callum had a juice bar, and we used to use he used to make the juices for us, and we'd do a 5-day juice fast with using the Vibrogyms and the far infrared sauna. And some people would come in and they go, this is disgusting. And we would like taste it, and we thought it tasted delicious because we were used to juicing, right? So don't be surprised if you're like, I don't really like this. You can put spirulina and wheatgrass, which again are pretty disgusting. But you can put a little bit of these in. You can put anything into it. What I would used to do is, if I was going to work in Malta, I would do the juice, I'd put that carrot, apple, ginger, etc. I'd put a little bit of that juice into the NutriBullet, and I would throw my nuts and my seeds in there, and I'd blend it up and then put the whole thing together. And that's going to fill you up more. Obviously, if you've got the protein in it, you can then really fill yourself up, and it can be like a meal replacement, a really homemade meal replacement. So whether if you want to lose weight, you want to gain energy, you feel that maybe you're a bit toxic on all levels, and we'll talk about emotional release techniques as well for really affecting that, and how heart coherence changes the microbiome. A lot of phenomenally exciting information going on. But what paying attention to your nutrition does is it gives you a foot up the ladder. So therefore you just have a lot more energy to make better choices, because that's what it comes down to. What are you choosing today? I was with John and his mum in the caravan at the weekend, and it was beautiful, and there was strawberries, grapes, and I was like, yeah, of course I wanted one, but I just didn't have one, because when you go into ketosis, you don't really want to come out. And if you eat that, you will. Boom, back down from fat burning, toxin burning to glucose, which is just a much less efficient fuel. But again, I'm not going to go into the pros and cons of running on glucose or running on fat. I'm just talking right now because I'm still doing the 1 week keto cleanup. I had roast lamb last night with wilted spinach and kale and a bit of cauliflower and cheese. Really, unless you're a vegan. That's a pretty nice meal. You're not missing out. Today, I've not had anything yet. I'll probably have a bulletproof coffee and I'll do the chia seeds and the coconut milk and maybe a bit of the lamb from last night. So that's how it works. John and myself and Hilary are going to be, we're creating a retreat. We're hoping to do it in November, but that may, because of the facilities, we may have to change that and move it forward to March. So if you want to come and learn how to cook, how to measure your own ketosis, this whole era that we're moving into, you need to learn about your body and what works for you. A juice fast is a fantastic reset. A week in keto is a fantastic reset. I mean, eating clean, I do eat right for your blood type, I do paleo, they all cross over. If I'm doing paleo, I'm definitely not having dairy. But if I'm doing keto, I'm going to have dairy. So this is the thing about breaking the rules and getting confused, but I'm very clear because I've done all these methods on my own body. And so I know what I can do for me, and I gauge it completely on how I feel. And also just the very act of taking some discipline around your nutrition makes you feel better. So juicing in June is a challenge to have a nice juice or a nice smoothie every day during June and put energy, that life force energy, into your body. And if you need fibre, if you need to, your bowels, interestingly enough, because obviously keto, there's pretty much, well, I had fibre last night, obviously seeds and nuts, etc. There's a lot of fibre in, but how my bowels move on it is, nobody likes to talk about that. It's a great indication of staying well and staying clean and the body repairing and getting rid of what it doesn't need. Fascinating. So I highly recommend you try these different ways of eating on your own body. Different times of life call for different things. Your time is probably your key driving factor into your organisation. How much time do you have? People always say, oh, it takes ages to clean the juicer. Bullshit. Trust me, chemotherapy is not very time effective either. So just get, as soon as you've made the juice, before you've even drunk it, empty it out and rinse it under the tap. It takes a minute max. That's it, done. If you leave it and it all dries, trust me, I've tried everything. Once it dries in, it's a pain in the arse to clean. But if you just rinse it straight away, and maybe you just don't do it like for a few days, because I know that I've done that as well, or just juice it, empty the bucket. No, by far the easiest way is just juice and then rinse, and that's it, job done. When it comes to the smoothie, I use a NutriBullet, but maybe you've got just a blender, same, it doesn't matter. You can put the juice in if you want to do a meal replacement and put your yogurts. Coconut yogurt, you need to be careful, it's high in sugars, but trying to get a full fat, good quality yogurt, or better still, make your own. Dairy gets a terrible rap, and if your blood group O, it probably doesn't work that well with you. But also, the other thing is, if it's pasteurized, pasteurization is killing the germs, and we want the germs in, the good germs. So lots of cheeses, and I was talking to somebody about this yesterday when I was living in Ecuador. We had cows and we just got the milk unpasteurized and we made the cheese every day. When you're feeding a lot of people on farms, you absolutely have to have protein. Otherwise, 12 people eating veggies, you can't keep up. You need the dried goods as well. You need the legumes and the pulses. Will you send me the name of a good juicer, please? Gail, Google best juicers. That's what I would do, because I have a juicer, so I've not bought one for years. Just Google and you'll see, you can read all about what one is going to work for you. I would say just get a centrifugal one to start with. That means that you just drop them in the top. The slow cooker winds round. And again, for me, it's all about time and what are you likely to use. Get the cheaper one first, I would recommend, and see how you can work it into your day and if it's worth making the investments. That's what I would say. So I hope that's clear, that you can add tons of veggies into your diet and It doesn't have